All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Two Chains here, the Big Go Belt Wrestling Podcast, along with our fellow friend Jahmal, the Giant Crab.
Hello.
Tonight is absolutely a special night because it's something that we've been plotting on for a while and been wanting to engage, and it's finally happening. And tonight we have our special guest, Mike, who is the co-founder and the promoter of the Nova Pro Wrestling straight out of Virginia. And tonight we're going to discuss the upcoming event that we have going on Friday and everything about it and why you should be there and why haven't you been at the other event. So, Mike, how's it going tonight?
It's going real good, guys. I'm really excited to talk about this Friday. I'm really excited to talk about Nova Pro. We've had a great year so far, and I can't wait to cap it off with probably our best card yet on Friday night.
If we can take 1 second just to tell you that you guys have done a phenomenal job over this year. It's been the best stuff I've actually attended and been satisfied. It's been the best bang for your buck. Solid show from in and out, leaving wanting more every single time. And again, just congratulations for a really, really successful year. And I don't think that you couldn't book a better show to end this year for you guys with this card that's coming up on Friday.
Yeah, we're really, really excited about it. We're really proud of everything we've been able to accomplish this year. I think, I hear it from like a lot of guys that check us out from the first time that, might follow a lot of the other independents. And I also hear it from like wrestlers that, go to like a bunch of different shows and, wrestle every weekend and everything. They always tell us, they can't believe it's only been a year just because like how much of a tight ship we run, how great of an operation it is. And it's super complimentary to get that from guys and, fans that just go shows all over the country.
My first time, absolutely, I was just overwhelmed by the professionalism. Everybody was very friendly. Even the wrestlers that I wasn't accustomed to, everybody was so welcoming. Staff, the food. Jahmal, I know you want to say something about that.
Yep, that's going to happen.
And just everything. It's just, I'm just really, it's really an honor to like be in this area and have such great wrestling at our hands. And I can only imagine what year 2 is going to bring for you guys as well.
Yeah, we're plotting some stuff for 2017, so just hold tight.
Hopefully.
Well, I have a question. Mike, if I may. It's been a great year for you guys. Congratulations on the first year and many, many more in the future. But I want to know, how tough is it as a person that books these shows, that gets guys in from all over the Mid-Atlantic, all over the country? I likened indie wrestling to AAA baseball. We want our team to do well, but we don't want to hold anybody back. So when you see guys like Cedric Alexander, who's certainly made an appearance in Nova Pro, guys like Chris Hero, who's had experience in WWE and guys like that, where's the line? How do you gauge what's going to be the next big thing in wrestling?
That's a great question. Honestly, we've always kind of prided ourselves in being a place where not only are you going to see guys like Hero and Cedric, who, are undoubtedly some of the best wrestlers in the world, but you're going to see the guys that are going to, win Hero, he's getting older when he eventually leaves the business, or, like what happened this past summer, when Cedric Alexander gets signed by WWE, or when the next guy gets signed by WWE. You always want to build the guys that are going to fill that void. You know what I mean? You don't want to be left behind, if you will. And it's the same thing as like a baseball team. Like you want to make sure you have guys ready for when, your star player gets called up and everything. So I think one of the things that keeps us on our toes a bit is I've always been like kind of a indie wrestling like historian, and like I've always tried to consume as much independent wrestling as possible. Like I watch at least one wrestling show a day, and like that's like a whole like 3 or 4 hour show, and I watch like stuff from all over the country. So I'm always like, I have like a list. I actually do have like a spreadsheet of like guys that are like on the list of people to bring in and people that we need to check out. And One of those, like two of those guys actually were Team IOU, Kerry Awful and Nick Iggy, who made their debuts on the last show against Cutie and the Beast, who I personally think was probably stole the show that night. So
I agree.
And I think, you're going to see a lot more Team IOU. You're going to see a lot more guys like that that are going to come in, steal the show, but also, make an impact in Nova Pro for a long time.
Yeah, and let me add to that list.
Next to the players.
Let me add to that list. We need Solo Darling in Nova Pro, and if you don't know who she is out there, that's what the Google is for. So yeah, Solo Darling, Nova Pro, make it happen 2017.
Solo Darling is actually definitely on the list. We tried to make it happen earlier this year, and something fell through. So it's in the making. All right.
Well, good. That's exactly what I want to hear. Yeah, so you're going to be at the JCC and the Jewish Community Center of Fairfax. As it's kind of been your de facto home for Nova Pro Wrestling. And it's out in Fairfax, Virginia, 8900 Little River Turnpike. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area, that's in Fairfax. 7:30 start time this Friday night, Black Friday. Get your shopping done in the morning. Hang out with some good wrestling in the evening. The JCC is a great place. It's a well-lit, it's a clean place. And you moved recently to Annandale, Springfield, rather. Do you have any plans of moving outside of the JCC in Fairfax to other regions of Northern Virginia?
So the cool part about the JCC is and I think this, and a lot of guys that work for us and work for other places think this, it's probably one of the nicer venues you're going to see an independent wrestling show.
Absolutely.
And especially if you compare it to the Springfield building last month. But we don't have any plans to not have the JCC as our home base. I will say right now, and without giving away too much, the first two shows of next year are not at the JCC because there is a little bit of a scheduling conflict. The JCC is only available from certain months of the year. In fact, actually, they're not even really available in November. It's just nobody wanted the Black Friday spot, so we took it. But yeah, so the JCC is our de facto home base, but it is, a very nice venue that a lot of people want to have their, games or, whatever, because, it is just a community center. So we do need other places. And we've talked about running shows out as far as Chantilly. We've looked into running shows in Vienna and Alexandria. So, it's just a matter of finding the right fit with these buildings and stuff.
Right. Now, I'm from this area, Washington, D.C., 2 Chains is as well. Why do you think that there's been such a void of indie wrestling within the Beltway? We know that there's guys in Maryland, shout out to MCW, but they really handle away from the D.C. area, Baltimore, the Eastern Shore. There's guys in Richmond that do the same thing. But within the Beltway, 50 miles in either direction of D.C., there's kind of been a void. I'm glad that you guys are filling it, but what took you so long?
Well, yeah, unlike you guys, I was born and raised in Springfield, so I'm a Nova guy. I used to go to shows a lot as a kid with my dad, who helps run the company with us, and we used to go to shows as far as Philly and West Virginia and other places in the country, just because there was no wrestling here in Northern Virginia. I mean, Ring of Honor ran here a few times in 08 in Manassas and stuff. And other than that, though, there wasn't really anything worthwhile. As I started to look more into it, and as getting Nova Pro off the ground and finding venues and stuff, and just when I got more, when I learned more about the business and how it works, behind the scenes and everything, it's just. It's honestly almost it comes down to 2 reasons. One, a lot of venues in this area. I mean, you guys know Fairfax County is one of the richest counties in the country. A lot of venues in this area are not gonna be as cheap with their space as places in Richmond and other parts of Virginia. And so you got to put that into effect, and you got to put into effect most people that run indie wrestling, myself and my dad included, we're not millionaires. So, you gotta play it smart. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I also think, and I don't know, a lot of people still might not know this, but in the Commonwealth of Virginia, there is a state athletic commission, which very few states have that are as strictly enforced as it is in Virginia. So every professional wrestler in Virginia has to get a wrestler license, which can prove to be difficult. So that's why you see in other places in Virginia that, you see a lot of the same guys, just because you want to get guys that are willing to get that license. So I think that's like a big factor too, because it was like a big thing. We were starting to like bring in guys like Cedric and Hero and stuff that they can work anywhere in the world. Why would they work here on this night when they have to deal with like a lot of paperwork and a lot of the stuff with the athletic commission? So.
Right. Well, we're glad you got Hero, and he's going to be taking on Arik Royal, and I think he's undefeated in Nova Pro, I believe.
Yep, the only undefeated man in Nova Pro.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. You also have one of my personal favorites on the indie scene, Jordan Grace, who's taking on Brittany Blake. That's going to be something special to watch. Jordan Grace kind of reminds me of like a Michael Elgin type, or like Taz, just stronger than an Oxen, but also really talented and agile and flexible. So it's a great thing to see. Now, a lot of these women that you have in Nova Pro, like Veda Scott, like Brittany Blake, like Jordan Grace, work into intergender wrestling. They've taken on male opponents and with positive results. I know that's not a thing that's happened in Nova Pro, at least as far as I know. Is that something that can happen in the future?
Well, it has happened once before. On the very first show, Innocent Isaiah wrestled a girl named Casey Carlisle, and it was probably the most entertaining match on that show. But it is.
I can imagine.
It is not. It's not like a rule by the athletic commission, but it is very frowned upon to do that here. Oh. So I was very like. I just got our promoter license this year. It's our first year with it. Most of the other places have had their promoter's license for, 10, 15 years, whatever. So I really didn't want to like catch their attention for the wrong reason. So I kind of like stayed clear from that. But, once, it's not out of the realm of possibility for Nova Pro, I'd say.
I believe at one of the shows, it might have been American Slam when Veda Scott was there. We had a chance to talk to her for a second, and Jahmal posed the question as well as absolutely what was one of her favorite matches, and it was an intergender match. And I believe, if I may quote her correctly, that she said this is what she was in the business to do, was type of matches and stuff like that. So I know that there's a will there for it, and as a fan, I'm also big on it because it's actually has been some of the best matches I've seen, but. I can definitely see why some people definitely could frown upon that and how it could be a sensitive thing at the time.
Yeah, it's more like just like it's like the language and like the rule book for wrestling this state just really like doesn't allow it. So I'm trying to like just stay clear of that until like we kind of have our feet down more and kind of have like more of a presence with the athletic commission to kind of get away with like little things like that.
So you have a lot of talent. You have a lot of talent coming through this show. It's a super stacked card. What a way to end 2016 with. And one of the matches that I'm interested in is Donovan Dijak versus a CZW champion, Jonathan Gresham.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's going to be...
Dijak back again, too, man. That guy's in the clinic in the ring. Always steals the show for me.
Now, that's going to be great. But are there people that you... guys that you couldn't get in town that you really wanted? I know that you have a list of guys that you're looking out for, but who was fell not by the wayside, but slipped through your fingers, so to speak, this year that we could have? What did we miss out on this year?
Well, I will say at one point, and it's not out of the realm of possibility anymore, but at one point, the main event for the October 22nd show was going to be Arik Royal versus Matthew Riddle. So that just ended up falling apart for Riddle had ended up being offered a tour to Japan.
Yeah.
And he was coming back the day of our show and didn't think he could make it in time, and I did not want to rush him. And he was also almost going to do the November show, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, but he's out of town for Thanksgiving, seeing his family and stuff. So you will see Matthew Riddle in a Nova Pro ring in 2017, but I think that's like the big one. There were a couple times where we almost had Hero this year. There was
also at a point where you had Moose booked on the card as well too.
Yeah, and he got pulled because of TNA obligations.
Okay.
But and then Moose, and then a couple times we almost had Hero this year, and then it finally ended up coming through.
Nice.
For this November show, which came through kind of last minute. Like when a lot of people were wondering, because we usually try to announce the main event or like give you an idea of what the main event's going to be on the show for the next show, and a lot of people were asking me after, what's the main event, blah blah blah, and it literally, I was just waiting for a text from Hero to be like, yeah, I can do it before, because I was like, we got to do this Hero Arik match before this year's over. So,
right.
So again, Friday we have the Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, and one of the questions I have for you is, so to say, what is your motivation behind the titling of each event?
It's kind of like, so like I said, I grew up on indie wrestling, and a lot of guys behind the scenes of Nova Pro been in the business for a long time, been around indie wrestling for a long time. It's almost like kind of to make fun of how serious indie wrestling show names can be sometimes. So like, for instance, whenever we ran the Springfield building, which we ran 3 times this year, we always named it after an episode of The Simpsons.
Oh.
Sometimes we name it after like songs we're just digging at the time, or just, whatever. And then Nova Project, which was our anniversary show, and it was the name of our first show too, is actually because when I would like fantasy book like my own promotion when I was like younger or whatever, we always called it the Nova Project. So that's where that comes from too.
Nothing like a dream come true, huh?
Yeah, living my dream right now, so it's great.
One of the interesting things about the Paradise by the Dashboard Light coming up this Friday is the JCC is having a toy drive. So could you shed a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, the guy that his name is Matt Alvin. He helps run the JCC. He really got us hooked up with them and everything. He's a huge wrestling fan, and he started this. He's doing this toy drive. It's kind of like similar to like Toys for Tots, where they're going to give it to homeless kids or kids without kids in orphanages or whatever. To just are not going to have a home for the holidays. Or not going to be able to get toys for the holidays. And I used to go to CZW every month, and I know when I was a kid, we would bring toys to their Cage of Death event because they would do a Toys for Tots drive very similar to this. And I just think it's like a good way for us to give back. It's, it's kids in the community, it's kids in Northern Virginia. So, you're giving back to your community, and, who wouldn't want like some WWE action figures or whatever for Christmas? So.
Yeah, so make sure that when you come out to see Nova Pro, you bring an unwrapped toy, a brand new toy for the kids. Because why not? It's Christmas. That's what it's supposed to be.
They're also accepting Walmart or Target gift cards. So
fair enough.
If you don't have time to get a toy, pick up a gift card or something for them. $10, whatever. Every little bit helps.
Awesome. Another question I have for you too is from your what I would call your homegrown talent. You kind of bred through the Nova Pro promotion. Who do you absolutely feel is probably your next big star, or stars, considering if it's a stable?
I'd say the next 2 guys that I think are going to break out from Nova Pro to the bigger promotions like Evolve and other places. I think Arik Royal, absolutely, just because as you guys seen, and as everyone who's been following us has seen over the past year, he can hang with some of the best wrestlers on the indies, and even some of the best wrestlers in the world. And for my money, Logan Isla Rowe is the best heel on the indies. So I don't know how every promotion isn't using that guy. So I think those are, and there's a ton of other names. Cutie and the Beast, Bobby Shields, Chet Sterling. I don't know how these guys haven't been noticed yet. I don't know how they still have time to work for us every month. So
I absolutely agree with you with Logan. And at some point, Logan's going to have to create a Twitter. There's a void there missing. I see people, like I was looking for his Twitter one day, and I see people like at and trying to find his name, and they were like, oh, he doesn't have one. But I definitely agree with him becoming one of the next big stars for sure. Jahmal?
Yeah, I agree. Arik Royal is a big personality, and his just charisma translates. In every match that I've seen him in, Logan Easton LaRoe is phenomenal. I think Cutie and the Beast is the best tag team in North America. Now, that's going to get a lot of heat, for a number of different reasons. Everybody has their favorite, but Cutie and the Beast absolutely won me over. Their gimmick specifically, especially this year, very politicized year, it could be considered, well, I don't want to say pandering, but it could be considered a bit controversial with what their gimmick is. How do you deal with the politics outside of the ring and keeping that stuff outside of the ring, outside of the building, when you do have a seemingly controversial, especially in a very conservative state of Virginia? How do you manage that?
I think we kind of find the line pretty well with at least with Bo and Isaiah. I know we kind of make it a point to kind of suggest they're friends, guys. Isaiah kind of makes Bo uncomfortable sometimes, but at the end of the day, they're friends, they're partners, tag team partners. But I think pro wrestling is an escape, and I think I like to think our crowd and the people that follow us know that, and they come here and they come here to forget about politics and the rest of the world for 3 hours, and enjoy stuff like Cutie and the Beast. So I try not to worry about it too much, mainly because we're still new and I don't think it's really been an issue yet, but it is something in the back of my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree, and that's one of the reasons why I like them so much. They're great workers, but their gimmick also is very interesting. The best way to describe it would be the old Saturday Night Live bit, the ambiguously gay duo. And it's great because it works so well that there's an obvious line that they don't cross, but we can certainly see it. One other thing
it's really cool, actually, with them is that their gimmick and they never tagged before the first time they tagged here.
Oh wow!
The gimmick and everything is really one of the things that is truly 100% created in Nova Pro. They've been able to take it a few other places and have had great success for it, and I can't wait to see what's in store for them in the future. But yeah, our true one of our few true Nova Pro creations, I think.
No, that's got to be awesome, and I hope that they can take it to the next level because a lot of everybody should have exposure, but there are few that deserve it, and I really think that they definitely if I could give them an award, it would be to most creative gimmick in the business right now. Shifting gears completely, and this is something that's been a point of contention for me. The Crockpot of Destiny. It's the greatest crockpot of all time, people. I don't want to overstate this, but for $5, you really can't go wrong. The greatest meatball sandwich of all time. Which brings me to the Sandwich Squad. Now, they've been a staple of Nova Pro for a while. When are we going to see the sandwich, the hoagie on a pole match? Or, maybe the deli mustard, Sweet Baby Ray's, deli mustard championship.
We have thought about doing a whole, and this is kind of in jest, but we have thought about doing a whole tournament of Hoss division guys. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the old Super 8 tournament or the old or how the Super J Cup used to be, where they would give each participant a medal. Yeah. And if you beat that participant, you got their medal. So we thought about what if we got an 8-foot party sub, and and each winner of the match got their opponent's part of the party sub, and the winner of the tournament eventually got the whole sub.
I mean, if Veda Scott can put a hat up for a match, for ownership of a hat, then an 8-foot party set would actually be, it'd be better than King of the Ring, honestly.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, it is in Sandwich Squad's contract that every time they win a match, they get a free sandwich. So,
as it should be. I mean, those guys deserve it. But yeah, I would be down. I would be down. Like, we can get like sheets of Wawa and on the action. Royal Farms.
I gotta talk to our boys at the Snack Society. I believe that they got something in the works for their sandwich if Sandwich Squad can pull out a win on Friday. So hopefully they can do that because I want to see just what they got.
So
go ahead.
Got another question?
No, I was just going to say, speaking of Friday, we have Brandon Day versus John Kerman. I believe that's the first time we're seeing that. Matt Tremont and Jeff Cannonball versus the Storm of Entrails with Riley Madison, who's always a good thing to be. It's just a stacked card, and I really can't overstate that enough. Almost to the point where I feel like you're giving too much away. So where do we go from here? It's going to be an absolutely amazing show. But what's next for Nova Pro after this epicness?
Well, this is our last show for 2016. I don't know how many people know this, but I have discussed it on different podcasts and different avenues and stuff, that this will be kind of like Black Friday show. Like, it's kind of, I've already signed on for it for next year. So we're kind of trying to make it like one of the super shows for the year where it's always going to be a huge card. It's always going to be kind of like that very special kind of feel to it.
It's the season finale.
We do have a little bit of a break. We have December and January off. We'll be coming back in February. The reason for that is because, like I stated before, and as we talked about throughout the show, we do have a bunch of guys coming in from all over the place. And as you guys know, and as many people who live in this area know, the blizzards and stuff can get crazy over here. And I couldn't imagine trying to run a show and then having, half my guys stuck in a snowstorm or something. I don't want to put that on my guys. I don't want to put that on the fans. So, especially, if, some fans can make it, but, half the roster can't, less than our best for you guys every month. So, we are taking a couple months off. We'll be back in February, and then we'll be full steam ahead until November of next year again.
That totally makes sense. So you guys have a very good relationship with CZW. You have a pretty good relationship with the CWF down in North Carolina. Are there any other promotions that you're trying to build this Nova empire with?
We have a really good relationship with the guys at IWA Mid-South too. You don't see it as much just because of how far away they are.
The Ted Perry Invitational was a must-see every year.
Yeah, and they actually just had one, and Chris Hero just actually won the one a couple weeks ago. But we do have a really good relationship with IWA Mid-South. We have a pretty good relationship with AIW in Cleveland, Ohio as well.
Another great promotion.
We've been in talks of using each other's talent. So, you probably see more of that next year with AIW. You'll certainly keep seeing, the CZW guys. I'm a big proponent of trying to bring the CZW students down here. Storm of Entrails, Frankie Picard. These are guys you've seen on cards all year and have always put in good work for us. So, and they got a great facility up there. So, I want to give those guys some ring time and give those guys, a place to shine. And same with CWF Mid-Atlantic. Chet Sterling, to Sandwich Squad, all products of CWF Mid-Atlantic. I have a great relationship with Brad Stutz. He's the booker down there, and he helps us out up here a lot too. You might remember him as the Scribe. But I'm always willing to work with guys. We have talked about working with Chikara in the past. I'm always open to work with different promotions, and as long as it's a good fit and a good trade-off for everyone.
Well, that's great, and that hopefully share of the wealth is what the indie scene is about. Because you don't know who's going to come back, you don't know who's going to get that big push. As much as we love Cedric Alexander, I'm very content with seeing him on my TV and that in person, even though it is a bittersweet feeling to do so. So best of luck to you and your promotion, and to the next to the big show on Friday, man. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I truly can't stress enough how I as an indie wrestling fan, not just the guy that is the promoter and trying to sell you on it. Just as an indie wrestling fan, I don't think you're going to find a card anywhere in the country with more variety than here at Nova Pro. So, you got to come check it out for yourself. Chris Hero, Donovan Dijak, Matt Tremont, guys you're not going to see on shows together all the time.
Yeah, Nova Pro is that it's a mix of guys in the north, that Philly wrestling circuit, and guys in the south, that old Mid-South NWA territory, the Flair country. And those are two different styles that you really don't see in the same building together. It's people say that the way the territories used to work, they never went away. It's just that WWE and Turner kind of overshadowed everything, and now that spotlight has been put back on indie wrestling, it's been nothing but best for business, because you have guys like Nova Pro and CCW and AIW. These guys didn't just show up on Monday Night Raw. They started somewhere. They started here in Virginia. And it's you're never going to get this close to the action, as close as you are in Nova Pro, for the value of $20, $25 for first row. And it cannot be overstated enough. The sandwiches are delicious.
Yeah, man, come from the meatballs sandwich.
Exactly. So yeah, but it's a good time. So the JCC, 8900 Little River Turnpike in Fairfax, Virginia, 7:30 start time. Get your tickets now at NovaProWrestling.com.
NovaProWrestling.tumblr.com. We're actually working on a website right now for 2017, so should be like a full-fledged website by the time we come back next year.
Okay, give me that Tumblr one more time.
NovaProWrestling.tumblr.com.
Okay, so that'll be 7:30 this Friday night, Black Friday. And bring a gift, bring a toy, unwrapped, or Target, Walmart gift card for the Toys for Tots that supports the Fair Kids in Fairfax and the JCC.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, Mike, it's definitely been a pleasure to finally get this interview going, and the excitement is all building. I just keep thinking like it's tomorrow, but just one more day, Friday, we'll be in there for sure. Like I said, every time I showcase a chance, we're promoting Nova Pro. It's been exciting since the first show we've been to, and like Jahmal stated, it's the best bang for your buck you can get in the area, and all this talent that you're seeing that's getting to main or higher promotions, they started somewhere, and I think it was just a treasure to see Cedric 2 times live at Nova Pro, and then next thing you know, he's on the CWC. And it's just all so surreal. And I can only imagine somebody that's a promoter to actually be in those shoes, to actually witness such a thing.
Yeah, man, it was a really special moment for me and for a couple of the guys involved. That last show Cedric was on against Shane Strickland. I remember when Shane was making his way out to the ring, Cedric for a second. And I said to him, and I pulled him aside. I was like, "Hey, man, thank you so much for everything you've done for us. We wouldn't be here without you right now." And then he told me to stop because he wanted to thank me for everything we've done for him. And just for a place he only wrestled 3 times, I think Nova Pro is pretty special for him. So happy for him and all his success. And I can't wait for the next guy that's going to be able to make that kind of impact.
And no reason to think that, because we saw him at the Evolve show in Brooklyn, and I believe Jahmal asked him, and he absolutely said he loves Virginia and he loves Nova Pro. So there's nothing to think. But that's absolutely, that he's definitely very grateful for the opportunity, as well as we are as well.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah,
again,
there are very few.
Go ahead, Mike.
That Like there's a lot like the weird thing about names sometimes is like a lot of them, and we haven't experienced it that much here, but like just in other places, a lot of them will try to ask, what will this show do for me? What can this promotion do for me? I have never met a guy who is without a doubt one of the best wrestlers in the world, one of the nicest guys in the world, and has never been more about like what can I do for the show? What can I do to make the show better? Like Cedric Alexander. So really proud of him and really proud of his success.
Absolutely. Jahmal, you was going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, congratulations all around to everyone involved, and as happy 2016, happy Turkey Day to you and your family, and I hope it goes well. Man, Friday. Can't wait to see you there.
Friday, man. All right, guys. Can't wait to see you guys there. Hope everyone checks it out.
Will do. Thank you so much, Mike, for being on the show tonight. We'll see you on Friday.
No problem, guys. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Cool.
Yep. All right. So that was Mike from Nova Pro Wrestling, 8900 Little River Turnpike, Fairfax, Virginia, 7:30 start time. You have Chris Hero versus Arik Royal, a traditional Survivor Series type match. Tret Sterling, he's leading his team versus Logan Easton LaRoe. Donovan Dijak's going to be there. Jordan Grace is going to be there. It's just too much. It really is too much. It's just a lot of talent. And honestly, it's going to be better than Survivor Series. They're having their own Survivor Series style match, a 5-on-5 elimination tag. It's going to be nuts, and I can't wait. I was in Toronto over the weekend for Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver. We'll discuss that bit of business. Raw, SmackDown this week. Goldberg apparently is going to stick around, and that's a thing that's going to happen. So we're going to take a quick break, come back with the rest of this mess that is the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the second half of the show tonight. Again, thanks again to Mike from Nova Pro Wrestling for coming on the show and discussing this what a phenomenal card that we're going to have on Friday. Can't wait to witness it. Hashtag support indie wrestling, all that. Again, I just don't know why. If it's local to you, why not check it out? $20 can't hurt anything. And once you've done all your Black Friday shopping and all your family time, get over to the JCC over there in Fairfax, Virginia, and check out the show. But as we discuss other things of wrestling this week, Jahmal made the trip to Toronto.
Sure did. They let me in the country.
Got him some nice tickets for NXT TakeOver Toronto. I mean, can't even emphasize how good that show was. And he also doubled up with tickets to Survivor Series, which, wasn't entirely okay. First off, just on paper, we knew that it was going to have a lot of stardom on the show, but would it be able to fulfill everybody's, desires and wanting a really, really good show with everybody that was included on it? And I have to say that, first of all, Survivor Series started at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 or 6. 2-hour pre-show and 4-hour show, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it was weird because my tickets for Survivor Series said 6:30 on it. But when I got to the Air Canada Center, it was about 5:30, and the first match started at 6 o'clock. So if you were watching the pre-show, no one was there at the Air Canada Center, and because a lot of the tickets said 6:30. So I was really curious as to why that happened. But as far as the show itself, the immediate knee-jerk reaction was, this is terrible, this is a waste of time, this is the worst thing ever. Realistically, Survivor Series wasn't that bad. But it wasn't that bad. I don't think
it was bad, but I just think that from what we saw the night before of how solid TakeOver was, it makes you put things into perspective. And it's just like you would expect a lot more from Survivor Series, considering what type of show that their developmental talent put on. Now, granted, a lot of those guys are veterans. I get it, but it still doesn't mean anything because the main roster, they have the fan support because of who they are and is well established, and they're well established, and a lot of them could be considered better wrestlers just because they're on the main card. But I can honestly say that there's not one match that I need to go back and watch because it was that good. I have already watched the Samoa Joe Nakamura match 3 times and the Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger match twice after the original time I watched it because of how good it was. And I'm not even going to mention the Revival because that's just
they're the best tag team in the company right now.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I guess I can say that I watched Survivor Series, maybe wanting a little more. Now, granted, I'm just going to jump all around right here, but I'm going to say that I am perfectly fine with the Goldberg Lesnar booking all the way.
Well, initially I wasn't, but also I wasn't completely invested in it before. Goldberg versus Lesnar was something that I did not want to see. The premise was stupid, basing it on a video game, like fantasy warfare becomes real.
Sure. Yeah.
But like, what does that even mean? But then again, they did run an angle about Rusev, Lana, Roman Reigns, and a cake. So that happened, and that got us a match as well. So whatever. But just in general, there was nothing really of interest to me on the card. And honestly, the only reason why I went to Survivor Series was because tickets got released cheap on Ticketmaster, and I was already in town for TakeOver Toronto, which I'm glad that I went to.
Come on now, we know he's going to Toronto NXT. Okay, so just to reiterate, so that people don't think you're a total mark. Jahmal is absolutely a wrestling fan, and that means like good clinical wrestling in the ring. And yes, everybody likes a good storytelling, a good gimmick, but maybe there's sometimes issues with certain matches that's just so about the gimmick or so about what's next that they don't emphasize on what's happening right in front of you. And at first, you kind of get mad at the crowd. What match was that the crowd completely took over? I think it was like Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Was that it?
Well, they kept booing the belt, and that was at SummerSlam, I believe.
Oh, right. It was the belt. And at the same time, that's the issue because you have two good talent in the ring and you have a good match, but some people are so focused on the gimmick and whatever it may be outside of what's happening in the ring that you have these discrepancies on what somebody deems a good match and what's not a good match. Now, granted, NXT does it all. They boost their talent, good entrances, no wasted time, great matches, and they capitalize on their event at that current time. They're not automatically thinking like, well, we need to set up this for the next time. And it kind of takes away from what you actually are here for now. Like now, the Survivor Series match for the men. Oh, I'm sorry, for the women. I mean, it didn't even make sense because it's like Nikki Bella didn't even wrestle because they wanted to elevate the feud with her and Carmella. Why did that have to happen right then? Why not make this match more than what it could be? Now, granted, people didn't like that Sasha Banks was eliminated early, but and then the marks on the internet basically says, well, oh, that's because she's getting ready to start a new feud in the match, and moving forward, she has no business to be in the ring, considering the fact that Charlotte and Bayley is the next feud that they're moving towards, and of course, you saw that manifest. But again, all those women can wrestle, but there was no really good, nice spots. That was just pure wrestling. It was just like either really spotty or just like what, you know. Even the Authors of Pain versus TM61, great match, nice spot, storytelling, everything, elevated the talent to the next level. Like I feel like that's how it should be done. I don't know. I could be a little bit biased, but NXT Takeover was just a 5-star match all the way around.
No, it was arguably Takeover Toronto was the best takeover of the year. We were in Brooklyn together for a Takeover Brooklyn 2. You guys went to Takeover Dallas WrestleMania weekend.
Yep.
And that was another solid show. The Revival, they're the best tag team in WWE right now. Top 5 tag team in the world right now. And I know that's a pretty hard thing to prove because WWE does something differently. They're not New Japan. They're not Ring of Honor. They're not TNA. Hell, NXT isn't even WWE. It's their own style. But out of that bunch, they are certainly the best of that bunch.
I think for a reason, I think for the right reason, we should kind of elaborate on why we feel like they're the best tag team. And I think it solely comes down to me is that they have tremendous ring IQ. They captivate each moment with that thought of what you would have done in that moment. And they use tricky tactics that I haven't seen done in a while. And I think are totally I think certain spots are totally what you should do in certain moments. Like it's just everything they do is just like this really good ring IQ, and you can appreciate it because you put yourself in the shoes and you're just like, well, why did that person tap out instead of just extending their arms under the ropes? They do it, help each other out in good times, use different tactics against the refs on like why things you would do, like I keep emphasizing. I don't know. And then beyond that, they're just really polished. It's rare that you see them botch moves. And to be honest, I started to think about it. I was like, man, maybe that's why American Alpha always looked so good, because they had a consistent feud with them, and it really elevated them till they went to the main roster. To now, I haven't seen a really solid match with American Alpha yet.
Well, to be fair, you're not going to, because that, and I'm looking at the times of the matches in for Takeover and for Survivor Series, for example. The tag team match was 22 minutes and 15 seconds between Gargano and Ciampa and the Revival, Dash and Dawson. They got 22 minutes to work, and was on a special. You're not going to see that on SmackDown. You're not going to see that on Raw. Well, you will see it, but you're going to have 14 commercial breaks in the middle of their matches. But you're not going to have that type of, ability in the match, because they're just trying to get you through to the next pay-per-view. They're just trying to get you through to the next show next Monday night. Give them just a taste of something else, and then we can see what happens next week. And then we go all out for the pay-per-view. That formula has gotten WWE to where it is today, and they've been running that same formula for the past 50-something years.
Right.
That's great. And, that's what it is, and that's fine. The problem that I have with that is I've seen it before. I want to see something different. I want to see, not just you get in the ring, the smaller guy has to fight his way out to the hot tag. The bigger guy comes in, and then they trade blows into the finish. We've seen that before, and that's unfortunate and we've seen that a lot with Enzo and Cass, for example. Mm-hmm. Very different style working in the WWE than they did at NXT. Mm-hmm. Their gimmicks are the same, but just their in-ring work are just pretty different. The matches, the pacing is different. The matches are just fundamentally different. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because they're super over right now, but that's largely due to their gimmick and how great their interaction is with the crowd. But as far as like just good, smart tag team wrestling, it's hard to say with anybody, because Bayley, for example, what she did in NXT, making a name for herself and becoming basically the female John Cena, do we still have that effect now? Tyler Breeze basically had to start over from scratch when he came. Sasha Banks kind of did too. The only person that really didn't was Kevin Owens. You know, he's the only one that kind of did the same thing. But you know, it's a fundamental difference between NXT and the main roster. We're seeing that the divide seems to be wide as the Grand Canyon. And it doesn't mean that either side can't work or that one side is better than the other. It's just that I know that the style that I want to see specifically is found on NXT, and Raw, the main roster, it is not. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens after McMahon retires, to see the powers that be, because we do see a change in the upper management and the way they're doing things. NXT exists, which is a thing that couldn't happen 20 years ago.
By the way, I just want to say that Corey Graves has been stellar on mic in all the work he's done this entire Survivor Series weekend. He definitely deserves his props, and he makes NXT exciting. If it's not what's happening in the ring and the fans, it's definitely Corey Graves on mic. So definitely a second for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not that I want to totally review Survivor Series and NXT, because everybody knows what it is. Everybody tuned in, and everybody has their mixed opinions and everything. But moving forward, let's talk a second about Goldberg entering himself in the Royal Rumble. Again, I'm excited because I'm going to the Royal Rumble, so it's good to see. It's good to see Goldberg after years and years since the WCW days. I had originally made plans for WrestleMania, but I won't be doing that now. But the Royal Rumble is already booked, so it's good to be able to see Goldberg. But what do we make of this? Like, do we take this as do we take him as a serious contender to win this? And if he does win this, what's moving forward for him? And if he doesn't win this, typically when somebody doesn't enters the Royal Rumble and they get eliminated, there's a feud built upon that. So I'm just really curious. Just off the limb, do you think Brock Lesnar also makes an appearance in the Royal Rumble?
Well, I think considering that Brock Lesnar only works, 10 shows a year, I don't see why not. He really could take the next 2 months off until the Royal Rumble in January and go back to Minnesota and wrestle deer or whatever he does. It won't hurt him any. And obviously he has something to prove now. I think the Goldberg finish versus Lesnar works. And it took me a while to come to this realization, but I think it works for two reasons. Number one, the loss is shocking, and people need to be shocked.
Yeah.
Though it was disappointing because we were looking to see a 20-minute long match.
Not at all. Who was looking forward to that?
People were. I mean, not me, but people were.
Yeah, because I was a little bit scared when I saw a stare down in the beginning. I was like, oh no, not this again. The battles of the unstoppable movable objects thing. I was like, no, not that again.
Right.
Again, while I'm perfectly fine with the booking, because it was, like you said, a shock, completely way out of the blue, squash match.
It was the only thing that couldn't have happened that happened.
Exactly. Vegas wouldn't have got that one right.
Right. And they did not.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The second thing is, now that Goldberg has won, it gives him a reason to go forward. Now that Lesnar has lost, it gives him a reason to come back. If you're not going to seriously put Lesnar in the title contention with Kevin Owens or whoever the champion is going to be going forward, Seth Rollins or whoever, then why is he there? And that's been like the elephant in the room with Lesnar booking since SummerSlam, since WrestleMania. Why is he there?
Right, because
he's already there to be part-time.
We have one prize fighter already in Kevin Owens. I mean, that's still his gimmick. He's still getting new merch with that slogan. I mean, yeah. So what is Brock? He's not that big bad dog in the backyard anymore now. Like, nobody's scared to go back there because you're just not there. So, I definitely agree with you. This does give him a point of coming back. But again, these one-offs matches, at some point he needs to refocus back on the title. And again, that's why I posed the question: do we see him in the Rumble again?
Well, I think that it's something that to just directly answer the question, yes. Why not? Because they're not going to build a program with Lesnar to make him go through the ringer to figure out when he's going to be a champion again. He clearly has unfinished business with Goldberg, and that can certainly lead to a meeting at the Royal Rumble within the match, or somewhere therein. But we know that Lesnar's not going to be a Roadblock. We know that he's not going to be. Why would he be there?
We already skipped right over Roadblock, like
right. What is that? Yeah, what is that? Is that a thing? So, and then also there's that seemingly unfinished business with Randy Orton, who's I don't know what they're doing with him, but they can all go down to the Rumble.
That's true. I think that is a good platform, and I think their intrigue is there definitely for that. Something else we discussed a little bit off air, as we frequently just fantasy book or just discuss wrestling in the total, is we talked about the Money in the Bank, and we all know that the big four, as we call it in wrestling pay-per-view for WWE pay-per-views, considering the brand split now, what do we do about Money in the Bank, which I think is one of the most intriguing pay-per-views outside of the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania? Do we actually make the Money in the Bank instead of a big into the big four, making it a big five, considering the endless possibilities that you can have here? We discussed about having maybe 10 competitors in a ladder match with both briefcases up top, which SmackDown can respectively capture theirs, or if not, they could capture Raw's in order to maybe cash it in at any point. This is a lot of intrigue and a lot of fun that can happen here.
Yeah, you can do a Money in the Bank women's match, also.
Which we we're all about moving forward with women and giving them chances, correct? So why not, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they survived Hell in a Cell, so why not see a Money in the Bank women's match with an interpromotional match? The point how that conversation came about was the idea that Survivor Series as a platform is passé. It was a thing that worked in the 80s, arguably the 90s. The Montreal Screwjob was a Survivor Series, I believe. And nowadays, it doesn't really make sense to do so. They already had a pay-per-view called Bragging Rights a few years ago that basically was Survivor Series without the elimination match. They didn't have any titles on the line except the Intercontinental match and the Cruiserweight match that ended in a
disqualification
throwaway match.
Yeah.
So what is Survivor Series? That match went 52 minutes. It nearly went an hour. For what? And we see on Raw, one team won and one team lost. But who cares? There's no trophy for Survivor Series. There's no commendation. You don't get a title shot for winning Survivor Series.
And not to mention too, you cannot even properly brag about your winnings because of the fact of either Shane or AJ Styles came out, or Dean Ambrose came out to say that Team SmackDown won Survivor Series. Well, actually, you guys didn't, because you lost 2 out of the 3. So,
right,
and you didn't win anything, like you said. You won the match, but what was it actually for?
What are the stakes for Survivor Series?
Yeah.
But Money in the Bank has actual ramifications.
Yeah.
Because the person that holds the briefcase can decidedly pick and choose. That's a prized position to be in. Yeah. Just like what King of the Ring was the thing. You want to be King of the Ring because that has a championship opportunity, in it. Royal Rumble, you go to WrestleMania, you fast track to WrestleMania. These things happen. But what's the rub with Survivor Series? SummerSlam, it's the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. That's a whole thing. That there's going to be a championship match there. Yeah. Usually it's from the fallout of WrestleMania. But what is Survivor Series? What is it? Why do we care?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the entire show last Sunday was a bit flat. It was lacking something. And comparing that to NXT, not directly because you can't, but NXT had 2 championship matches. All of their belts were on the line.
3.
And we they had 3, right? And we saw 2 title changes.
Yep.
So it's it's just like, what is Survivor Series? And I think that out of the big 4, if we can move Money in the Bank, maybe not move it with Survivor Series. Keep it in Survivor Series in November, but maybe move Money in the Bank to July instead of June, or September instead of wherever it is now. Where is it? March or something like that now?
Yeah.
If we can move it later on in the year, so that we can keep it going. Have that affect the Royal Rumble and all of that.
Right. I mean, because basically what you're saying is that in order to be part of the Big 4, it must have some ramifications or some stellar reward in being so. And Survivor Series has no reward. WrestleMania is the biggest stage in sports entertainment, and SummerSlam is baby WrestleMania. So you build yourself up for the 2 stages, and then Royal Rumble gets you a ticket to the big stage, and Money in the Bank gets you a get out of jail for free card at any point for a title shot.
Right. All roads lead to WrestleMania, and the most important thing that you should be doing in the business is getting the title.
Going after the title. And look, here's the other thing too. Having a Money in the Bank briefcase is a storyline in its own. So considering the fact that you can have a Becky Lynch with the Raw's title and already had the championship, or if they deemed her to be in the match, it's a big thing, and it's exciting because at some point that the invasion is going to happen. She's going to appear, and she'll have her feud on SmackDown, but at the same time still have some mic pieces, to the women's champion on Raw, to say like, I'm still looking over my shoulders. And that, I mean, like, nothing's better in the WWE than the heel with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I just think that giving a heel a platform to have to talk and create beef, in other words, with whomever it is, no matter if they're on Raw or SmackDown, is a big thing. And is intriguing, and does give you viewership to both shows, because you want to know what's going to happen. I mean, because let's think about it.
That would be great. I mean, if you had one person, if you had Seth Rollins or Jericho winning Money in the Bank, and they can go to any show they wanted to and challenge that person for the championship. It would be great to see Jericho's music hit after a hard-fought championship match at TLC. Yeah. If he still had the briefcase by then. Because that's something unexpected, but nobody's safe.
The biggest thing that I got from Twitter over Survivor Series weekend is that bookings that are predictable aren't fun, and questionable endings that are predictable. I mean, because obviously people are predicting who's going to win the match, but by questionable means are not fun. The unpredictable factor is cashing in the Money in the Bank, or after the match, somebody, coming out or whatever it may be. Why not capitalize on that a little bit more? Now, granted, Baron Corbin coming out on Kalisto, it's not a bad thing, but it's the fact that we're back to that feud again.
Baron Corbin wrestling is a bad thing.
I like Baron Corbin, even though he blocked us on both of us now on Twitter. But let's take a second back. Now, Kalisto Jericho came out to interfere with Seth Rollins, which was sort of say a predictable thing, but yeah, it was entertaining. And it sent the internet all in the buzz. It's just because of the fact that people like people like the whole interference and coming out thing if it's done correctly. And I feel like the Money in the Bank is absolutely the crown of this.
Yeah, well, let me just say that I like everything about Baron Corbin except Baron Corbin. I think he has one of the best entrances. I think his theme is pretty nice. His gimmick as this balding douche is, kind of interesting. But then as soon as he gets in the ring and all that goes away and the bell rings, It's like Somonax. I just fall immediately to sleep. But I do agree that the suspension of disbelief and the element of surprise rather is what keeps wrestling interesting.
I can't remember who said this, but somebody said Baron Corbin was basically Apollo Crews with a feud, but no personality still.
Yeah, no, I mean he has the personality of like an unbuttered potato, and there's no reason why. Why would you watch him?
I think I'm slowly but surely waiting for his chance to be in a significant feud, something to make you want to watch. But everything else is there. The gimmick, the style, the look, the music, all that, the finisher, all that's there. But just not Kalisto is not worth it. Like, yes, granted, I do like the fact that he said he didn't like no little guys running around on SmackDown. Sort of Kevin Nash's, if you think about it. But it just doesn't elevate him. I mean, granted, you did not get to be in the Survivor Series team. Shouldn't your attention be somewhere else right now? Yeah. But whatever it may be, I don't know. Nonetheless, though, because we've been all over the place. NXT Takeover Toronto was great. A+ show. Survivor Series was a very flat C for me. Raw and SmackDown coming out of those were just nothing really big. Just the fallout of both of the pay-per-views and just to see what's moving forward next. But we all know what was moving forward next because it was so predictable because they went right back to what they was going to before Survivor Series. So nothing big there. James Ellsworth officially has his contract. Yes, he's announced it on the indie scene over the week before. But it's official as of SmackDown, and now he has a future title shot against maybe AJ Styles, maybe Dean Ambrose. Just maybe some intrigue there. But James Ellsworth, I mean, congratulations to the Baltimore, Maryland guy. And
how long do you think that lasts?
Huh?
How long do you think that lasts? I know that he signed a contract, and that's locked up and good for him. Congratulations. He absolutely deserves it.
How long
taking something for nothing?
He'll be fine.
How long do you think they run with him?
Fine, a good enough time. I mean, Heath Slater's been over for a while, and naturally only been relevant ever since the brand split. But everybody loves the 3MB Heath Slater, and that's been gone for a long time. So James Ellsworth will be fine. And
do you think it hurts him by the fact that we haven't seen him actually wrestle?
Not at all, because we really seen Heath Slater wrestle?
Is anybody looking for Heath Slater to wrestle?
Is anybody looking for James Ellsworth to wrestle? You know what I mean?
One would think so, because this guy is in the main event picture. He's a top guy for some reason. He's a top guy. That's what it is.
People love
doing top guy things.
People love the American story, man. The small guy from the small city with the kids, and he's doing it for his kids. Like, everybody likes the story. He'll be fine. I think.
Everybody loves the story, but when is Cinderella going to realize that it's midnight and not 11:59, and he's going to turn back into a pumpkin?
I have to say that we're going to have to ride the wave for James Ellsworth for at least until SummerSlam, maybe, because I thought maybe into the Rumble, but I'm not hating it. And commentary is only getting much funnier with it. Like, JBL was hilarious, and I'm gonna need JBL to realize that James Ellsworth is a human and not an it. What is that? And get that away from me. He gonna have to put some respect on James Ellsworth's name.
Well, he's gonna have to. He's gonna have to, or he's gonna learn that you don't mess with Baltimore like that. But
so let me go.
I would say that. Okay.
Let me throw a quick question at you that we talked about a little bit too, because we get into our hour for tonight. It's towards the end of the year. As of right now, nobody's really investing in Roadblock. Nobody really cares about TLC much. As it stands, there's no excitement behind it, if you ask me. Everybody's already looking forward to the Rumble, which is in 2017. But as of 2016, without you thinking too hard and without you being crucified for second guessing yourself later, what is your match of the year?
Yeah, I kind of figured you were going to go there, so I started, the gears are turning slowly right now. There's so many good matches that it would be really hard to pick just one.
Exactly. So,
I'm going to pick two. Okay. I'm going to pick the best match that I have seen and the best match that I attended.
Okay.
And the best match that I've seen, I'm going to go with what's the kid's name? It was in it's the Revival. I'm going to go. It's the Revival, and from Takeover Dallas, Takeover Toronto. The Revival and Gargano and Ciampa. That's the best match. DIY. Yes, that's the best. I'll never call them that.
Yeah, right.
That's the best match that I've seen live this year.
Okay.
The best match that I've seen, period, on TV or anywhere, because my heart says Ricochet versus Will Ospreay, but I think I'm going to have to say no. I got to go with the I don't want to sound biased either. Because I'm thinking the Revival and American Idol from Takeover Dallas, because I think that was the best match on that card. I know that everybody loves Nakamura versus Sami Zayn.
Oh, that's what I'm going.
I really loved James Ellsworth versus AJ Styles from SmackDown a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Because that was another amazing match. No. It's the Final Deletion. It's easy.
Now that's definitely the best thing that's happened in wrestling this year. That was so good. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna piggyback off you a little bit. The best match I attended this year was absolutely Sami Zayn versus Nakamura.
Fair enough.
And my second pick of the best match I've seen this year was Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens at Battleground. And then the best match that I watched this year, unless I'm getting my years confused, but this has been a long year. Little if you realize it or not. I don't know. Yeah. I'm right. I'm right in my means. The best match that I watched this year comes from Wrestle Kingdom, and that happens to be AJ Styles Nakamura.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that happened.
Was that Wrestle Kingdom 10?
Huh? 10 I always get confused. We're on 11, right?
I think 11's coming up.
I thought we was in double.
Yeah. Wrestle Kingdom 10, January 4th, 2016.
It's 10?
Yeah, it's 10.
Okay, so Wrestle Kingdom 10. I don't know why I thought that was a no, I was right. Yeah, I did think that was 10. We're coming up on 11. That's right. Yeah, that match, all worth the pain and suffering that I endured staying up at night to watch it live. Yeah.
Well, you had Okada versus Tanahashi in that. That was just fantastic.
It absolutely was, and the only reason why I'm tipping over the hat over the other way is just because of the fact that it was a send-off match, and it was I couldn't believe it was happening. Like rumors was swirling around. I was like, man, there's no way that's happening. But then how the match ended, and everybody, they kind of hugging each other and stuff like that, and the crowd, they're just like, oh my god, like something's really happening here. Like they're really gonna come over to the WWE. So the beginning of the get Vince out of office era, letting some of this, and not only that, to let over talent that wasn't WWE homegrown actually held gold is a big thing. So
no, it's definitely a new era in WWE, and it's a welcome change.
Yeah,
I just think that hopefully they just keep it interesting. Obviously what they're doing at NXT is something worth seeing. Raw and SmackDown, I don't know. I don't know how well that goes, but still, it's go. You know, it's and it just keeps going on. You know, Roadblock is coming up, TLC is coming up, and then we go to the Rumble, and then definitely starts the road to WrestleMania.
Yep.
So I guess fantasy booking, and we can end it here. Do we need Goldberg as champion?
Sure.
Or if we have Goldberg as champion, is this only so that he can be introduced into the WWE Hall of Fame?
I think
because it feels a lot like what they did with Sting.
Right. I think it's a Hall of Famer nonetheless. And I really think they're invested in looking at the mistakes they made last time around with Sting. That's definitely on the table. Do we need Goldberg as a champion? Sure. Because you want to, you want to create some bias for the WWE network. You're still banking on getting people to go back to look at traditional Goldberg matches and how dominant he was. 2, because him having a title means absolutely nothing. And 3, him having a title, he's been doing pretty solid mic work. So there's an intrigue to see him come out just to be able to cut a promo. Kevin Owens not having a title doesn't hurt him at all. But when I start thinking about age and when people need to actually get gold around him, I think it's only right that if Goldberg does this, that you start considering Jericho too, who's also up in his age. And while he's perfectly healthy and able to really work full-time schedule, I think it's better now than never, considering that, my heart always goes out to the Ultimate Warrior story where they had issues internally, him and Vince, and it carried over for so long, and they finally squashed it. He got his Hall of Fame run or his tour. Then he cuts one of the might be the best promo ever, like realistic promo ever on Raw, just to pass away the next day. I mean, if you're not religious, that's perfectly fine, but you got to scratch your head on that one. That's like one of those type of once you complete your mission, you move on to things. And I think that, while you're able to do such is a good thing, but still, when you think about it, that literally happened right at the last moment. Now you have Vader saying he has two more years. And there's an argument there. Put him in the Hall of Fame right now. 1 year in the Hall of Fame, 1 year to ride it out, whatever it may be. And I just think that you can't really judge a book by its cover because the Warrior looked fine,
Right.
And why? And the bottom line is, why it's in discussion for, is it appropriate for this person to be in the Hall of Fame right now? I think it's all the more reason why you should move forward with it. So while you have Goldberg as an in-ring performer, I think it's no better time to move forward and do it. The only other thing that I alter about when somebody should go into the Hall of Fame is when there's speculation of where WrestleMania will be at the respective year. Now, granted, if WrestleMania was in Minnesota next year, I'm sorry, Atlanta next year, then wait till Goldberg for next year because that's his hometown.
Right.
So, but why that's not on the table right now, because it's looking like it's going to be Minnesota, just go ahead and do it, And I think that when you think about the WWE Network, it's an archive of records, of media footage and whatever. So utilize that by making somebody relevant to make people want to go back and look. Now, granted, we grew up on a lot of it, so it's not so much for us to go back and do it. But every once in a while, you do go back to say, man, I attended that pay-per-view. Let me just see how I looked on TV again, or experience those emotions that I experienced then. And when, you get to a point where you have kids, you want to be able to show them, Dad was there. This is somebody I looked up to, So Goldberg Hall of Fame 2017 and put the gold on him. Let him win the Rumble. If not, give him one heck of a booking for WrestleMania. Even let him headline it again if you have to.
Yeah, I think that Goldberg on a WrestleMania stage with that entrance and all that stuff and how that works, it would be a good send-off.
And I think too that if without the goal, I think no other better send-off is to right your wrongs from that WrestleMania from years ago than to properly put a good taste in people's mouth from this WrestleMania. Do it right this time. You got the momentum now because that match definitely put some steam on you.
Yeah.
And
I was there for WrestleMania 20 in New York.
You okay? You okay?
I mean, that was what, 12 years ago, and it still stings. Still stings. But
yeah.
They have very rarely do you get an opportunity to right a wrong such as this, and if they can do a decent job of it, that would certainly, I think history would serve them as favorable in that estimation. So good, I mean, if Goldberg's going to be here to stay, then I agree that's how they should do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really not a fan of old talent coming back in the short term, but for the long term, because there's so many young, new guys out there. Well, not even young, but new guys out there that really could use that spotlight, could use that opportunity to go out there and do their thing. I would love to see AJ Styles versus Jericho headline WrestleMania. But Goldberg and Lesnar are still there. Yeah. Undertaker's not dead yet, apparently.
What I'm a little bit accustomed to is whoever's the headliner of one of the big fours, you don't expect a good match. You just expect a high profile wrestler, somebody that is well known, that kind of reaches out to all demographics and all that. So AJ Styles versus Jericho already happened at WrestleMania.
Right.
Should it happen again? Absolutely, because
it can happen every day for a year.
I mean, you're going to have good promo work, good build up. What about champion versus champion? You never even know. At the point that AJ lost last year, only right to win this year. I think that AJ is lined up something bigger for this WrestleMania, considering that he did lose last year, but it didn't hurt him at all.
Right.
People were mad about it, but look where he's at now. It's not so much about the win-loss at some time. It is sometime about what's the bigger picture. Yet, to not contradict myself from earlier, that match was a good match then. They focused on that match then. They didn't focus on what was the booking after that. So, we can go on about that for a while. One thing I do want to say is whenever we get the team together, whenever, people come out of their hiatus, we definitely should get together to start discussing match of the year, wrestlers of the year, our own former Slammies of the year, sort of say, moments of the year, stuff like that. We did it last year. Let's do it again. It's fun. Good time.
Yeah.
But, these next couple of weeks, we definitely will be probably less focusing on reviews and previews because as of right now, I'm not so focused on those pay-per-views. There seems to be no excitement about it. Maybe things will change, but I guess we'll just be keeping our eyes to the rumor reports and indie wrestling, of course, and anything exciting.
Yeah, let's hope that business picks up as we get towards the Rumble and the year turns over. TNA survives the winter. Let's hope that that it just goes well because it's been an interesting year. With Evolve, making its presence known, stepping up their game with the indie circuit. Jeff Jarrett and Global Force not being a thing. Billy Corgan, who knew that he would have such an impact in the wrestling world? And they get screwed over in the end by it. So, that's a shame. So it's been a very long year, and I guess we'll, have to recap that at a later date. But, I don't know. But what I do know is Nova Pro Wrestling is this Friday, and Black Friday, after all of that that dry turkey has been digested, definitely going to walk it off, taking myself over to the JCC in Fairfax.
So I'm just checking my phone right now, and the WWE ESPN alert says Dean Ambrose and James Ellsworth will join SportsCenter off the top rope with Jonathan Coachman. James Ellsworth, ESPN, baby.
That's gonna be a different show, but I hate ESPN, and we can certainly cover that later. But we're good for James Ellsworth, man.
Right.
Everything because I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and eventually it's going to happen because it has to happen.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, for tonight's episode, this is 2 James here, along with the Giant Crab, Jahmal.
Yep.
Again, special shout out to Mike for Nova Pro for coming on the show discussing their event coming up this Friday. Again, check out Nova Pro Tumblr page or find them on Facebook at Nova Pro. Find them on Twitter at VA Wrestling. They're promoting it. We're promoting it on our page. Go ahead and spend that nice $20 for general admission, $25 for the front row. Let's sell out that front row, and we'll see you there. If you see us, give us a shout. All right, y'all have a good Thanksgiving.